So, uh, what I was saying is that to really understand Hindutva and then provide a solution to identity politics that is concerning the liberals. Identity politics dominant in the Western countries, the modern world, which where identity politics is considered to then question and undermine liberal values, the liberal values and the secular values, which have been the foundations of the modern world. While it's a reality, the spiritual identity of every human being is a reality facilitated through religion. I mean, there are few religions: Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Judaism. But then one needs to understand that it's not rhetoric to say that every religion promotes peace, but there needs to be a greater understanding that how religion is being perceived and other religions are being perceived. Because again, as with same case with the complexity of policy making, even religion, which is a spiritual concept representing through moral values, have entirely a different manifestation because it has a greater role to decide politics, international conflict, identification, social, economic, ethnical identification. While the essence of religion is actually spirituality, and that is what it is meant being every religion being peaceful, because person's contact with abstract majesty of a divine is something which promotes logic, rationality, kindness, compassion, trust, ethics, bravery, truthfulness, and therefore one needs to then. I just completed a brief textbook with Microsoft Copilot on the same topic, and I will soon publish it at my blogs, Medium, and Substack, and ResearchGate. While I had this discussion with Microsoft Copilot, what I wanted to add to the debate is that okay, let's start understanding what are the manifestations of spirituality. I mean, then there's no better friend of India and Hindutva than Pakistani Muslims. Learn from Pakistani Muslims, learn from Pakistanis. Their expressions to find a purpose defined through spirituality, where Pakistani nation is the nation which gives helping hand to everyone, which promotes every idea that can assist, that can help, that can guide people, nation states, and it is represented through real-time efforts. If you can have analysis of previous 25 years after World War, this war on terror was started, then you can understand what a great story Pakistan is bringing to international world of international politics, international governance, and world of international peacekeeping. So spirituality should be promoted among Hindu populations instead of certain manifestation which might have political purposes to it, defining the essence of Hinduism, which is a great religion, a religion defined through thousands of years of history of human, economic, and social and spiritual evolution. And indeed, I have personally met great Indian professors. I know great Indian scientists. I also know that Hindus are dominating the IT industry, information technology industry, the digital technologies world. And the Indian businessman is one of the most prominent businessmen of the world. Now, Indian entrepreneur is one of the best one. India has great authors, great promoters of culture. While at the same time, there is Hindutva, and that this will question the fundamental basics of economists like me and Bradford DeLong or Acemoglu or Danny Roderick, who are saying that society needs to be connected to markets through cultural practices, traditional cultural values, understanding them, evaluating them, finding their application for economic value creation, and therefore this identity politics worrying the outcomes of progress in the Western world, Hindutva emerging in India, and it's been more than a decade, really questions the fundamental basics and effectiveness of our approach, where we like to connect culture with economics. And therefore, this blog and my coming blog post, which is kind of a brief textbook, soon be published, suggests that an approach needs to be taken And a lesson needs to be learned. And the best place is Pakistan, and the best people are Pakistani nation, uh, and Pakistani institutions, and how they have managed to survive war and terror, keeping their optimism, their hope, their resilience, while at the same time retain these spiritual values, noble human values, where they derive purpose of life in helping others. That will derive happiness for them. That will derive satisfaction for them. That will derive motivation for them to rather make yet another greater attempt to help others, to be kind, to be compassionate, while at the same time represented through economic stagnation, with significant poverty levels, significant inequalities. So this is the greatest example. Living in Pakistan for 17 years motivated me to then write these books, to connect religion with the modern world and to connect economics with culture. And it's kind of a fact which is proven through the example of Pakistan, but really contradicted when we analyze Hindutva or identity politics and its contradictions as far as liberal democracy or liberal values are concerned. So this needs to be understood that Hindutva government should promote policies, governance methods, which should have a more refined outcomes of spirituality that represents personal identification with the divine. And India, I mean, of course, my argument is substantiated that there are great artists in India, there is great cinema in India, there is great piece of storytelling, there is great piece of fiction available in India, and it is read by the world. So I mean, such a nation who loves art, who is defined through their aesthetics and their cultural values, who are defined through a great cinema precedence, where Bollywood is one of the most prominent cinema in world cinema, only second to Hollywood. So then one then starts understanding that the Salman Khan's notion being human. I mean, so there is a lot of understanding already, and still Hindutva is a prominent political slogan, while as there is nothing wrong with Hindutva, there is nothing wrong to being a Muslim. Muslims are not fundamentalists. In the same token, Hindus are not fundamentalists, but there are certain outcomes leading to discrimination, leading to news that are shocking the world, especially the Muslim world, where discrimination has crossed all limits of decency, of social values. So a spiritual understanding rooted in Hindu religion needs to be encouraged, and thereby needs to redefine Hindutva as the strength of India, as the future of India. And similarly, one can have the same argument with identity politics, its contradictions, the concern of the liberal world and the modern world, that religion is something which is a story of an old world, and instead an approach which is adopted by me, Professor Bradford DeLong, Professor Dani Roderick, Professor Asimoglu, Ha-Joon Chang, or Joseph Stiglitz, that we need to understand the question. We need to understand that how complexity is represented even in an anthropological aspect defined through religion, where one needs to then really quantify by then understanding that what spiritualism is all about, what divinity is all about, and then representing personal or social groups, identification, expressions, to then express their connection, to then be able to represent a larger purpose of being human and representing well-developed, progressive human societies, modern human societies. While at the same time, there is international politics of religion, there is some kind of which can really be addressed through diplomacy. I mean, for a progressive world, happiness, satisfaction, compassion, kindness, ethics, truthfulness, that are the defining factors of the future world, defined through the most scientifically evolved, culturally evolved world, where there is no religious discrimination. And therefore, this approach, I'm so confident that focusing on spirituality and then taking an example that spirituality leads to inherent values promoting noble human values like compassion and culture, and while this vigor, this commitment to help others, while helping others have so many manifestations. Even it will represent international governance structures like IMF and World Bank, or it can even represent the commitment of a researcher like me, or a business entrepreneur trying to transform the economy, trying to help people with technology, facilitate their lives through technology. The smartphone is a clear example, and there is a world inside the smartphone. I mean, internet banking, Internet of Things, all these ideas can be translated as a human passion to help others. And this passion drives through spirituality, finding a larger purpose of life, larger purpose of humanity, represented not only through Mother Nature or understanding the solar system, but some universal aspects where International Space Station is cherished, James Webb telescope is cherished, where people follow scientific documentaries. So this is the common story that needs to be told, and thereby the world obsessed with scientific method needs not to be confused that religion, its political outcomes, its manifestation, which are very complex, similarly as policy making is very complex, should then define it through simple identification like how spirituality can represent humanity. So perhaps spirituality is one of the greatest values of humanity, linking humanity with religion. And all the good outcomes of religion comes through right identification and understanding of spirituality, which would define the purpose of humanity being the intelligent life form, so unique in the universe. And absolutely the outcomes, these political outcomes of discrimination, really confirms some kind of a Darwinistic survival instincts instead of the larger purpose of life and being human and being intelligent life. And no religion other than Hindu religion has done so much work. No society is so much culturally evolved. And of course there needs to be a recognition as against what Hindutva is all about, that this Indian culture represents a great combination whereby Urdu has evolved, where Hindi cinema expressions would define aesthetics, value system in the society, egalitarian society, equity-based society, rights-based society. So it appears to be so insignificant, yet significant, that we are in Pakistan are still concerned that not only the Indian leadership is not understanding that they are the ones where hostilities are being originated from, India. That's where the hostilities are originating from. And Pakistan, as Pakistani government claims, Pakistani military claims, time and again for years and years, for decades, after war and terror, that Pakistan is a country promoting peace in the world. Islam is the religion of peace. Pakistani people are brave, resilient, and enterprising people. And therefore, there has no connection of Islamic fundamentalism with Pakistan and Pakistani nation and Pakistani institutions. So if you understand, a work I have started to then even help myself understand how the issue of Hindutva could be resolved, to then direct it through the real meaning of being religious and having spiritual values. And then, of course, it is going to be more simply defined through noble human values, as Islam is defined through noble human values. And therefore, multiculturalism, religious harmony is a natural outcome. So BJP needs to think something, that there is some kind of a policy lapse, where there are incidences which so brazenly discriminate Muslim populations, even their religious, very foundational religious values. I mean, this does not represent the modern world of 21st century, where sustainable development goals have been identified by United Nations, where peace, knowledge, technology is the future of the world, where India and Hindus especially are a dominant significant part of that future. So there needs to be a clear understanding, and thus Pakistan and India relationship can as well be represented by competition, as I have said it before as well. And instead, it should not be represented through hostility. It should be represented through competition, economic competition, or political or diplomatic competition. And therefore, the strategies which which makes no sense in 21st century, needs to be abandoned. And the outcomes of Hindutva suggest that the impression, the politics of Hindutva needs to be changed. Thank you.